Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I am Joy Francis, your life, love, and relationship coach. Thank you so much for joining me. Before I get into this week's episode, I just have some things I want to say. It goes along the lines of this week's episode. So, I've been hearing from some people that there are some of you out there that do listen to this podcast and have had some issues when dating. And what those issues are is that you're sticking to your guns. Like I've mentioned many times over the course of 34 weeks, 35 weeks, I don't remember exactly, but I've said that you need to know what you want, know what you're ready for, etc., etc. And you've been doing exactly that. And you've been getting ghosted and getting turned down and getting rejected. And I just want to remind you that you're doing an amazing job. You're doing fantastic. This is what dating is going to be like, unfortunately. Sometimes things aren't going to go your way. In fact, most of the times, things aren't going to go your way, right? This is the whole point of sticking to your guns. And even though you get upset and even though it gets tough, because people aren't accepting of, the way that you approach the situation, they're just telling you that they aren't the right ones for you. And you need to remind yourself that. And I'm here to remind yourself that because you are leading yourself onto a path of happiness. You are leading onto yourself onto a path of finding the right person for you. So I just want to say, I commend you for it. I respect you for it. And I hope that you stick to your guns. And on top of everything, thank you so much for listening to this and listening to me, and that I can be a part of your life in some way. And I hope that it's in a positive way. I would just like to ask one favor of you, just one. Obviously, like, subscribe, that sort of thing, like whatever platform you're listening to this on, it would be a great help because then I know, who's listening to me, essentially. But I think that I could use your help in spreading out my messages. And if you know somebody that could benefit from this, just share it with them, including people that you're talking to or dating. Or maybe, when people ghost you, just send them the link to my podcast, whether it be on YouTube or Spotify or Apple Music or wherever you're listening to this. It would be greatly appreciated. And on top of that, I actually do have a rejection video that I'd made. It's already up on YouTube. I haven't made it public yet. It might be public by the time this goes live. I made 2 of them. I wasn't sure which one I wanted to use, and I've been sort of sending them to people privately for them to give me some feedback and try them out and test them. So if it's there and you need help on breaking up with someone, I have a video that you can literally send them, and I do my best to essentially help them understand that you aren't the right person for them, and that it's no hard feelings, and that even though it is a type of rejection, it's not because that they are a bad person, even though they might be. It's more along the lines of that, just 2 things that don't fit. So thank you again so very, very much. Now, this week, which again coincides with you sticking to your guns, is about reciprocal love. Right? Now, here's the thing. I cannot define love for you. And each and every person will have a different idea of what love is. But I want to give you something to either add or to take away from your idea of love. Now, if you've been listening to this, you know that my number one deal breaker is I only like people who like me, which essentially means someone who will reciprocate my energy, someone who will match me, someone who will give me what I want. And that might not be the same for everybody. Some people might need different things from someone versus what they actually give. So what someone does for them is different for what someone does for me, but I want something that's reciprocal. Now, let's start with the foundation, like essentially the rule of this, of like where it comes from. And it's like the only love that's really worth your time is one that's reciprocal. Reciprocal, again, in the term that you are getting what you need from someone versus what you're giving them, right? That they're both, like both parties are essentially giving themselves to the other person. Let's break it down because it sounds simple, but some people spend years, if not lifetimes, ignoring this. What does reciprocal love look like? They are as convinced of you as you are of them. They're as present in the relationship as you are. You're not left anxious, staring at your phone and wondering when they'll reply. It's steady, it's mutual, and it's balanced. And again, I know these words don't necessarily have a direct definition. It's how you interpret what I'm saying. It's essentially what works for you best. Now, I want you to think about something, right? Think about your last relationship. Were you both equally invested, or were you carrying more weight, or were they carrying more weight? And just, keep that in mind, because to everything that I've said from day one till today, one of the most important things is being self-aware, right? So looking back and thinking of your last relationships, provided you're single. If you're not single and you're dating somebody, think about this relationship, right? Because maybe there's a conversation that needs to be had. But nonetheless, being self-aware is key for pretty much everything. I'm going to tell you about a test, so to speak, right? It's the rope test. So picture like this. Imagine you and your partner are holding opposite ends of a rope. If you're pulling with both hands, leaning back, giving everything you've got, and they're just holding it loosely with one finger, that's not a partnership. That's you dragging dead weight. So I was coaching this guy who said to me, Joey, I feel like I'm always the one planning dates, starting conversations, and keeping things alive. And to be fair to this gentleman, I feel the same way. I've felt the same way, in dating and talking to people. And I told him, that's not you being in a relationship. That's you being essentially in a performance. You're a one-man show. And she's just there along for the ride, watching the show in the audience. And, having to say that to somebody, especially someone that may not be as self-aware as that I am, it hits people hard, especially because he really liked this person. And it's like, okay, but, what are you going to do? What are you going to do when it's just you? And like I've mentioned before in other podcasts, and I'll say it again because everything I say needs to be repeated until it's drilled into your head. You always have three options. You either walk away, you sit them down and talk about it, or you shut up and take it, and too bad. Right? So now let's clarify what reciprocal love is not. Because it is not waiting hours or days or even weeks for a text back. It's not. That's essentially you being ghosted. And if they come back, that's them being a zombie. It's not you having to sell yourself someone. It's not you explaining your worth over and over again. It isn't you begging someone to choose you. That's not romance. That's not even love. That's anxiety dressed up as passion. That's all that it is. So another person that I talked to, who she spent 2 years in what she called an almost relationship. He was charming, funny, and sometimes affectionate, but he was never consistent. She was always waiting for him to text, waiting for him to decide, waiting for him to show up. And when I asked her, what do you actually have with him if this is the case? And she said, hope. But hope isn't love. Hope is a placeholder. See, reciprocal love doesn't keep you waiting. It shows up. And even when, I asked her about when she was telling me about waiting for him, I said, did you reach out? Or was this you just sitting by the phone, telepathically telling him to message you or to call you? And sometimes it was, and sometimes it wasn't. And even when it wasn't, he would still take an exuberant amount of time to respond. And again, it's like, well, if that's the case, what's the point? What's the point? What are you doing? And again, as she said, what did she have? She had hope. That's what she had. And that's what she carried on. And it's like, do you really want to be in a relationship where the feeling that you carry around with you is hope versus love versus affection versus, knowing that there's somebody there as opposed to hoping that there's somebody there? Because the key is receiving the love that you give. It's not a bonus. It's not the cherry on top. It should be the baseline. Somebody showing up should be the baseline. And I just want to make this clear. This goes for both parties, because through everything that I've, read and researched and people that I've talked to and the things that I've seen, there is sort of a disparity between people who are, let's just say, like the standard attractiveness versus people who might not be the standard attractiveness. Okay. And the funny thing is that when we have abundance versus, like, if a guy is good looking, he has a good amount of women who want him, maybe even chase him. And when a woman is considered good looking or attractive, there's a lot of guys that want her and chase her. And it's those people specifically or those people who think that they're those people that think that they can just sit around and be like, no, it's fine. They're going to come to me. It's perfectly fine. And yeah, they probably will. And maybe this is like, this is what is like reinforcing this idea in your head that you don't need to communicate, that you don't need to show up, that you don't need to put effort in. And I hate to break it to you. Guess what? Sorry. You're never going to have a fulfilling, long-term, loving relationship. Never. It's never going to happen. What you'll have are people taking advantage of you for whatever reason that might be. Maybe it's for the status. Maybe it's because you're good looking. Maybe it's because of money or whatever the case is, but you're going to be used. That's it. Unless you're going to show up and give someone what they're giving you. Because the people that genuinely want a relationship with you, want to get to know you, want to take something further with you, they're not going to put up with that shit. They're not going to sit around and be like, this person's wishy-washy. This person's a flake. Like I try to make a date. They don't, they always cancel. Or I hint at them that I want to go on a date. And they're like, maybe, maybe not. Yeah. Because they have a million other options? Maybe. Because people come to them and they don't have to put the effort in? Probably. But it's never going to lead you down the path that you're looking for, unless that's the path you are looking for. But if you want something serious, if you want real love, unfortunately, you're going to have to do some work here. It's like, think about going to a restaurant. If you order a meal, you expect the food to be cooked. I mean, unless you go to like a Korean barbecue or a hot pot type of place, but that's neither here nor there. It's not a luxury. It's a minimum. You wouldn't clap for the chef because the chicken isn't raw. I mean, that's the whole point of you going to a restaurant. So why do we clap for people who give us the bare minimum? Why do we get excited when somebody who we think we like, because I think it's another thing. I don't even think it's a true like. I think it's like lust, or we just envision what a relationship would be like with them. And like, that's what's playing in our head. That's not what's happening in real life. And so when they do something that goes inside with the lines of that idea, you know, we get excited and we're like, oh my God, it's coming true. They're doing it, even though they're probably not. It's not the baseline. Or I mean, sorry, it's not the cherry on top. It is the baseline. So, and I did write this whole episode out, so that's why you see me like reading and stuff. I'm trying to hide it as best as possible. Anyways, now here's the thing. If it is so obvious, right, this idea of reciprocal love, why do so many of us miss it? And here's the thing. Because a lot of us were trained early on to accept scraps. Maybe you grew up in a house where your needs weren't met. Maybe you were taught that love is something you have to earn, prove, or fight for. And see, like, again, going back to people that get a lot of attention and you're in line for that. You know, you're sort of having to prove yourself to this person to say like, hey, never mind those other people. Like, date me, talk to me, get to know me, like I'm worth it. And essentially you're teaching yourself about, you know, that reciprocal love isn't important, that you need to show up, you need to prove yourself, when in reality it's sort of like both people do. So when someone gives you half attention, you get excited, you call it chemistry. When someone keeps you guessing, you call it them being mysterious, or that they're, you know, just the type of person, like their communication, that's just the way it is. But let's be real, it's not chemistry. That's anxiety. Now, let me ask you, have you ever confused anxiety with attraction? Have you ever had butterflies in your stomach, but looking back, they were just nerves for being unsure where you stood with a person? Think about it. Because here's the thing. If they're still deciding whether they want you or not, that's your cue to go. That's your cue to go. Do you really want to be around somebody that's not sure if they want you? No. It should be like a clear-cut answer. If they take forever to reply to a simple message consistently, that's your cue to go. And I'm sure that I've mentioned it, like me, you know, on a good day that I'm feeling generous, 24 hours to respond to me. If I'm not feeling generous, 12 hours to respond to me. And if you don't, gone. If you notice that they're flirting elsewhere, and I mean, I get it. We talk about online dating, you know, everybody's talking to more than one person. I don't necessarily believe that always, okay, because I'm not necessarily one that does that. I mean, there's times where I have, you know, 2 to 3. Again, just talking, not dating. Dating, it's always one at a time for me personally. But again, if somebody is not giving you the time and flirting elsewhere, then clearly you're not it, right? Because as far as I know, when somebody wants something, they go after it. If you have to explain to them why they should be with you, that's a red flag. Get out of there. Get out. Run. If they're not proud of you or not grateful for you, get out. I mean, it's simple. If somebody isn't going to be there for your growth, for the growth of the relationship, to better the relationship, to better life for the two of you, out. Get out of there. If you've given them chance after chance after chance and nothing has changed, get out of there. Scram. Okay, here's what I want you to do. I want you to work that self-awareness muscle. I want you to think about the top 3 red flags you've ignored in the past, and then ask yourself, what was the price for you to ignore them? I want you to really, really think about that, because we've all made excuses to stay in things. I mean, I'm no different than anybody else. I've done it as well. And I mean, even with my last girlfriend, I made some excuses to explain her behavior. And it wasn't serving me, and it doesn't serve you. And if you're shaking your head right now saying, not me, then let me tell you, you just not have been caught yet. You haven't caught yourself doing it. You've probably done it. You've just either came up with a good enough reason so that you can explain it, but you've probably done it. Again, depending on the type of people that are listening to this, because this is obviously directed at people a little bit older who has lived life and have gone through things. And you know what? Here are some common excuses, and I'll share a few stories of people that I've coached, and so you can understand how this plays out in real life if you haven't seen it or have gone through it. So I had a client, she's been with her boyfriend for 7 years. 7. And when I asked her why she stayed, she said, well, we've already put in so much time. It would feel like throwing it away. Right? And a lot of people say that. It's like, there's a chapter in my book about this. Crap. I should have been a little bit more prepared, apparently. It is the sunk cost fallacy, where because you've already invested X amount of money in a certain thing or X amount of time, you feel that it's probably better to invest more time to try to get to the desired outcome as opposed to cutting your losses and walking away. But here's the thing. If you've been driving in the wrong direction for 7 hours, do you keep going just because you've already hit the gas? No, you turn around. And this is exactly what she did when she realized that she's essentially was holding on to the history as opposed to, you know, what she wanted completely out of the relationship. So then there was this guy, and when he came to me and we were talking about his relationship, he told me that he was in what he called a roller coaster relationship. They fought consistently. They broke up every other month, and then they get back together. And he said to me, he's like, but Joey, you know, the chemistry is insane. And I don't know if you remember, because this is going all the way back to episode 3, maybe, talking about online dating and the whole idea of chemistry getting in the way of you getting to know someone. Because what ends up happening is that we rely on that chemistry, even though the person is just a field of red flags, because we have this insane chemistry, just like what this guy said to me. You know, her and him had this extreme chemistry, and he just couldn't let it go, despite the fights, despite breaking up, despite, you know, things not going his way, despite not receiving reciprocal love. He would always go back time and time again. And I mean, obviously she was doing the same thing. And I had to tell him, chemistry without consistency is just chaos. If the only time you feel connected is in the bedroom, is when essentially this chemistry is lighting up, like that's not a relationship. That's essentially friends with benefits. Like, you know, with some added steps, because you fight every now and then. Now, this one's tricky because it sounds compassionate, but I knew someone who stayed with her partner for years because he was going through a rough patch. First, it was work. Then it was some family drama he had. Then, you know, he confessed and had some mental health issues. And here's the thing. We all go through things. But if going through a lot becomes a permanent excuse of why they can't show up for you, and you end up feeling bad, and you end up staying with them because of that reason, I'm going to tell you right now, there's always going to be something. Even in life, even in, you know, our careers and our friends and our families and everything. How many times have you even said it yourself that, you know what, before I do this, I am going to do blank. Before I go buy that new suit, I want to lose a few pounds. And me being in that industry, Giuseppe Sarto, custom made to measure suits, gsarto.com. But I hear it many times from people that they say, you know what, I would love to buy a custom suit, but before I do, I just want to lose a few pounds. And it's like, well, you're kind of defeating the purpose of buying a custom suit. It's custom to fit your body. You don't need to lose a few pounds. Or other people that are like, before I do blank, I need to do this thing first. There's always going to be something going on in your life. Always. And if it's just going to become a permanent excuse for why someone can't show up for you, or why you can't walk away from them because you feel bad, because it's like, listen, they're going through something. I feel bad. Yeah, I know on the outside, you can look like a massive asshole. But the thing is, you're a human being. You deserve to be happy. And that's not you being happy. That's essentially you being an emotional slave to somebody. So, your choice to what you do. But anyways, moving on. So I'll never forget this one guy who told me, Joy, she's the most gorgeous woman I've ever met. I can't let her go. And I asked him, okay, but how does she treat you? And he went quiet, because beauty and charm don't pay the emotional bills. But I'll tell you this, he was paying a lot of those bills. And I've mentioned this before, and if it's something that you want to do, fine. Like it's your prerogative, right? If you want to essentially pay for someone's time, whether it be with actual money or, with whatever, that's your choice. It's completely your choice. But it's not going to get you the love that you're looking for. It's going to get you a human body that might stand next to you, might make you look good, right? Compared to other people, if you care what other people think about. But that's all it's going to get you. Because at the end of the day, you can't build a life on someone's jawline or witty one-liners. So what do? We come down firmly on our own side. We stop mistaking pain for passion. We stop calling inconsistency mystery. We stop thinking we have to earn love by suffering. We deserve to be adored when we adore. We deserved to be loved when we love. And when you finally get that, when you finally allow yourself to accept only reciprocal love, you'll realize something huge. Love is not about self-sacrifice. It's not about proving yourself. It's about two people who feel blessed to have found each other and who show up for each other every single day. It's when you literally live your life for someone else, and in return, they do the same for you, which perpetuates wanting to do it more. And that's essentially how relationships are built. Because you do something for someone that's very nice without being asked. You're just there loving them. And they feel so happy and excited that you're doing it, that they do the same for you. And you feel so happy and excited that you do it for them more. And they feel even more happy and excited, so they do it for you more. And that's how you build a loving, stable relationship. Every excuse you mask for someone else is really an excuse you're masking against yourself. You're saying, my needs don't matter as much as theirs. My happiness can wait. My standards can bend. And if you choose those things, that's your own fault. That's your own choice. You don't get to go bother your friends after and say, oh my God, my relationship sucks because XYZ. No, you're choosing it. It's your choice. Your needs matter. Your standards matter. And if someone can't meet your needs or your standards, like I started this podcast out, then walk away. You don't belong there. No excuse in the world makes it okay. None. I want you to lock this in. The only love worth your time is reciprocal love. If they're not in it as you are, it's not love. It's not arrogant to expect it. It's not entitlement. It is self-respect. And once you understand that rule, everything else gets easier because you stop chasing, you stop begging, and you start recognizing the people who are actually worth your time. And I mean, that's all I've been trying to do from the beginning, is trying to help you get to the place where you find someone that's actually worth your time. Someone who doesn't require, a list of things for you to do before they reciprocate. It should be from day one. That's the way that I see things. Now, I will say it again as a caveat. Everybody has a different idea of love. Everybody has a different idea of what they want back from somebody. You might not care if someone isn't the greatest communicator. And I mean, I see it all the time on the dating apps where women will write down in their profile, I'm not the best texter. I like talking face to face. And it's like, yeah, but you can't always be face to face to someone. And you can't always be on the phone with someone. And you have to, you have to utilize all forms of communication if something is going to work. And they're essentially making excuses right from the get-go. Like, hey, listen, you can talk to me when you see me. And then when you don't see me, too bad. I'm going to be off seeing another guy and talking to him maybe. And vice versa. I'm not saying guys are any different than this. There's a lot of guys out there. I've heard stories from girlfriends of mine that they meet a guy, and in the beginning, things are not bad. But then all of a sudden, it's like his ability to text starts to drop off. And the excuse? Well, I'm busy with work. I got a lot of things going on. And essentially, because that we've started to build something, now I can pull back. Now I don't need to be so attentive to you. And it's like, I'm sorry. That's going backwards. The whole point of matching and getting to know each other and going out on dates is so that you're more attentive to me, not less attentive to me. And funny enough, speaking with her, she said to me, no, I understand. She essentially made an excuse. And I said, okay, that's your choice. And obviously she made the excuse because she really liked him. He was attractive and successful. And she had a lot of the qualities that she looks for in a guy. This not being one of them, because she even said in the beginning it was rough. It was hard on her. And she had to sort of come to terms with it. And then I asked her, what if this guy was not as good looking as he is? Would you put up with it? What if this guy didn't have all the qualities you're looking for, but just some? Would you still put up with it? What if this guy, I don't know about the third one, but essentially you get the point, that it's because we find someone attractive or because we start to like someone for their resume, how they essentially look on paper. Now all of a sudden their transgressions can be explained. Oh, you don't text that much? Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fine. And I mean, she would send them a message and she would either get a one-word reply, which granted is something, but sometimes she'd get nothing. She would get no reply. And she literally said it to me straight out. She's like, some nights we would be on the phone, texting back and forth, sometimes on a phone call to 11, 12, even 1 in the morning. But then after they've gone on a couple of dates, that stopped happening. And I mean, I understand, that puppy dog face type of thing, right? Where it ends fairly quickly. But now she would send him a message at 6 or 7 o'clock and not hear a response till the next day. Then what? Well, she's like, well, he said that he fell asleep, he was with his kids and blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay, fine, understandable. Are you telling me between 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock or even 9 o'clock compared to when you're going to sleep, you didn't notice that someone messaged you on your phone? And here's the other thing. And this one I love to bring up. If you like someone and are dating them, have gone on like a small handful of dates, are they not on your mind? Do you not sit there and think like, oh, I wonder what so-and-so's doing? I wonder what so-and-so's up to? I wonder how so-and-so's day was? Or does that just go over your head? Do you just think like, oh, I'm dating somebody now, I don't need to think about them? They're just there. And I'm curious about that, because me as a human being, when I start to get to know someone, even starting to get to know, I get a little excited. And I just like meeting new people. So, this even goes beyond dating. I just like meeting new people. So I start to get a little excited. And when I am getting to know someone, it's like, shit, this girl's really, really attractive. And so far she's displayed things that I like. And she's talked about things that that we have in common. Yeah, I'm excited to get to know her further. Where does that excitement go? While I work and while I do this and do that and live my life, does that excitement just disappear until I literally have nothing better to do? And then it's like, oh yeah, I'm getting to know somebody, I should probably give them a call. Or is it like in the back of your head that you're so excited about getting to know somebody and being like, you know what? I wonder what they're up to. I wonder how their day is going. I wonder, what kind of movie they would like to watch this weekend. Whatever the case is. Do you not think about these things? Because I do. Especially as I'm like getting to know them more and going out on dates and things of that nature. So how can things start to degrade after the excitement phase has begun? I don't get it. And this is reciprocal love. This is where this kind of comes in. This is where like my number one deal breaker comes in. You're going to match my energy. I only like people who like me. So if you're going to display, actions that aren't conducive to you liking me, that aren't showing me that you like me, then I'm going to walk away and find somebody who will. And it's that simple. And I hope that it becomes that simple for you. On that note, thank you so much for listening to me. I am very, very appreciative of it. Like I said in the beginning, each and every one of you means the world to me. Words can't even describe that I am putting myself out there and there are actual people listening to me and I'm actually helping them in one way or another. It means the world to me. It really does. So again, I thank you very much. If you can, share this with someone that you think might use it, might be useful for them. And if you have any questions for me specifically, you can find me in a whole bunch of places, but the best place to find me is at joeyfrancis.com, joeyfrances.com. And there you can send me a message. You can send me an email, send me a message. Actually, I even think my phone number's there too, in reality. So you can even like text me or call me. That might have to change as I become more popular, but nonetheless, you can send me a message and ask me a question. Ask me what you need help with, or we can just talk about your situation and how I can help you maybe see things from a different point of view. Again, thank you very, very, very much. And this week, the message I'm going to send you off with is you don't have to continuously prove yourself to somebody. I mean, in the beginning, getting to know someone, yeah, you might have to prove yourself a little bit. That kind of goes both ways. But aside from that, you don't have to prove yourself to somebody. Reciprocal love. You are a human being and you deserve it. You deserve to be loved the way that you love. And I want you to remember that. Until next week.